I'm Calvin Graybill, and I work in several different medias, and I experiment a lot with colors and shapes, and all media are different, and so it's just I just have a lot of fun at it, and my wife gets upset with me. She keeps telling me that I'll tell her it's not done yet, and she said, you're never satisfied. I started painting my first year in college, and I had never picked up a paintbrush before, and that was a unique experience, and I'd always wanted to be an artist. I did a lot of drawing, but as far as the painting, I got into a situation that was at college, because I come from a little small school and there wasn't any art. I'd always do a lot of sketching and stuff, and when I got to college, there was a lot of students there that, from the big cities, but I learned a lot from them, and I had some excellent teachers, and I kept track of one particular teacher, and he was kind of my mentor, and I think this last year, 2 years ago, anyway, I talked about him some, but he kept after me. Boy, whenever we'd get together, boy, if I told him I wasn't painting, boy, he'd point that finger at me, and he'd tell me I needed to get with it. And anyway, I've been working on some. I tried something different this time. I've used acrylic a lot to do detail work in animals and birds and wildlife, but I decided to try a cloud. And so I've got one here tonight that I experimented a lot, and it's still not where I want it to be, but I'll do a little more work to it, and then I've got another one of my new oil paintings, and I found a photograph, and I built the painting around that. It was a mesa from up here. I think it's kind of west of Medicine Lodge, and it was just one mesa by itself, and you could see some way in the background, but I kind of used them in the painting, but it was a rather large mesa, and so I had a lot of fun, and I'd paint into it, and I'd paint it out, and like I said, I'm never satisfied with the painting, and I just have to. I had a teacher in college. He had a watercolor class, and also an oil painting class. But he would be painting, and he would say, "Somebody come up here and grab this brush out of my hand." He said, "I've got to quit. I'm picking at it. And you know what? But he was a temperamental outfit, but I learned a lot from him, and he did kind of impressionistic type paintings, and that wasn't my thing. I like to do the detail, and but he was a very good. I seen a very tender side of his one time, but he was a very good artist, but he was just kind of different. But I learned a lot from him, and trouble was I quit painting after I got out of college, but it took me about 10 years, but I finally got back to it, and now I don't get to paint enough. And so, you know, it's just, that's the way it is. And
You said every year you do a special painting for Christmas?
I've got an idea. I was at church Sunday, and I saw a situation, a little girl doing something there, and I sat there a little bit, and I thought, you know, and I thought, well, that might be it. So I'm going to kind of experiment on that a little bit. And this last Christmas I did a male and a female cardinal. And I just see some things, I'll see photographs, or I'll see, and I just get an idea from that, and then I'll go from that. And sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. And so I just, you know, just have to experiment. But I do. I go through magazines and I'll get an idea. And a lot of people, I do a lot of commissions, and people will come to me and bring me a photograph, or give me an idea and tell them what they need. And most usually I've got to have a photograph to go by, but